Good morning. Hi. Hello. I have decided that today is going to be a super productive day as a teacher. I'm an ESL teacher in Southern China, and I also am getting my PhD, and I also can't talk. Today is a full day of teaching. We have 4 hours of class in the afternoon, a work break, and then we have another 2 hours of class in the afternoon. Did I say that correctly? 4 hours of we have 4 hours of class in the morning, a work break, and then 2 hours of class in the afternoon. And I am hoping to get so much done. I have editing to do. I have a lot of personal stuff to do when I get home tonight, things like laundry, groceries, boring life stuff like that. And also we have so much grading to do because it is nearing the end of the semester. So we have to total up things like attendance, participation, all of that before the semester ends. So I'm about to head off to class. This is a really short hi, good morning. Let's get started on the day. Okay, exams have finished, and honestly, they did a better job than I expected them to. That sounds really harsh, but last semester, a lot of them really struggled with a lot of basic things, but I gave them the feedback last semester, and so many of them truly took the feedback to heart and actually made those changes. I was so impressed with the amount of change that I saw from last year's presentation to this year's presentation, so I'm really happy, especially since this is the day that my classes are a little bit less motivated. They're generally not like the super hardworking, like really type A, I really want to improve. So I'm really impressed that they did actually work hard on making those improvements. And I'm excited if I have them again next semester, we can keep going and we can keep working because there are now a lot of higher level things that we get to work on. But I'm going to head to a coffee shop and I am feeling pumped. We're gonna get a lot of coffee and we are going to go hard on getting all of this work done on our super productive day. So let's go. Another fun thing that happened in class was before class started, like in the break, some students came up to me and they asked me about this app because there's this app that's been going around that you can talk to and it will tell you what country you're from based on how you speak English. And so you speak English into the app and then the app told my students they were like 98% Chinese and like 1% Vietnamese and 1% something else. And it's a really interesting app. It's been kind of going everywhere, but the students wanted me to try it and it couldn't figure out where I was from. It just said like error, cannot calculate. So now I'm so confused. Is it just an app that's made for like native speakers of Asian languages and that's why it's not working on me as a native speaker? Apparently I'm a mystery. Okay, here's the game plan. We are going to get all the attendance, all the participation, all the homework done. We're going to average those all together, total those all together, and we're also going to get completely up to date on the dating, make sure that, on the grading, make sure all of the final exams that have been finished so far have their final grade recorded into the system. I usually don't mind using the public toilets in this area, but today there were footprints on the toilet seat. Some of the people in the older generations think that the way to use a Western toilet is to squat on top of the seat. Y'all are gonna kill yourselves that way. That thing moves. So, do you want the good news or do you want the bad news? It was a pretty productive afternoon, to be honest. I did a lot of editing and I did almost all of the participation for all of the classes. Participation takes a lot of mental energy because I have to go through and give them a score just based on, you know, how their performance in class was. I do have notes that I take every single class, but I'm still trying to make a decision of whether or not they got an A or a B or a C for participation. That's the good news. We got a lot done. Not as much as I would have hoped, but I think grading all of the exams was also a little bit ambitious. The bad news is I failed yet again to get concert tickets. Basically, so few musicians come to Hong Kong that if anyone comes, I just go. I just buy tickets and I go, even if I don't really know their music. And nobody comes to the mainland. But last week I lost out on Coldplay tickets, and I just lost out on Gracie Abrams tickets. I want to go. I want to enjoy a live concert. I love live music. The tickets sold out in 15 minutes because nobody comes. And also, this is something that's very new in China. Before the pandemic, there was not that much of like concert culture, and now it's crazy. I don't know if it's like an Eras Tour effect, or I don't know if it's just because of so many years of the pandemic, but people are obsessed with concerts. All of my students, like if I ask them, where do you want to travel to? What's your dream vacation? Half the time their dream vacation is connected to a concert. So they're like, oh, I want to travel to Korea to go to so-and-so's concert. Oh, I want to travel to America to go to so-and-so's concert. That's the thing. So a bummer to miss out on tickets, but it's okay. We were super productive today. Maybe tonight after work, I will do a little bit more work in answering more messages, but also try to get a little bit more done for grading. But it's about time to head into my freshman class. Do you hear the helicopters and the birds? There's a lot going on. Yep, there it is. Kind of dreading this class because this one is a really difficult class. This is like the last serious lesson in the textbook, and it's really difficult. It's kind of warning the students about what the listening will be like next semester, and I know they're going to struggle with it. So it's going to be a little bit of a difficult class, but it's going to be okay. And we are back home. Now, I am very much the person who believes in work-life balance. I'm very much the person that, you know, when you get home, you turn off work and then you do your PhD. I couldn't have done that in my first 3 years of teaching, but I've got it down that I'm able to do it. But today is not that day. Today is our super productive day, so I am going to do a little bit of work. My husband will be home probably about an hour, hour and a half, and I think I'm just gonna buckle down and get as much done as I can. But before we do that, let's do something fun, shall we? Did get some packages because it is that time of year, right? These are the notebooks that I got, the journals. I don't know if I was vlogging that day, but one of the days for Advent, if you didn't see, I made an entire Advent on the first day of Vlogmas that's very like experience, cozy based, not just like buying things. However, there are a couple of things that you buy, and that is usually just something like a cup of coffee or something I'm gonna buy anyway. For example, new journals for the year. So I am really leaning towards like dark greens and sage and brown, like these very earthy colors. So I got 2 different colors of green. Usually I will use one of them for the first 6 months of the year and then for the second 6 months of the year. Speaking of Advent, we didn't do our Advent for today in the morning, so let's do that now. Okay, today is day 17, so let's see what it says. Aw, okay, it says to watch Elf. I think we can fit that into our productive day. We can definitely have Elf on in the background. So what's the game plan? What did we get done this afternoon? I got all of the attendance done, all of the homework done, half of the participation done. Right now, I'm gonna finish up the participation and also calculate all of that together. I'm going to average all of those together and get my total because the students' scores are divided into 2 parts. 40% of their score is their final exam score. 60% is everything else, their attendance, their homework, participation, any other projects. So I want to get that whole 60% side done, ready to go. Then I also want to get some of that grading done and make sure all the grades are entered into the Excel documents. Actually, while I was talking to some of the students, they noticed me like typing and they said, wow, you have so many rings. The students told me that I should really put all of my rings on my middle finger because in Chinese culture, that's the luckiest way to wear rings. It means that like luck will come to you. So sounds good to me. Let's just double up all of our rings on our middle finger and call it a day. Okay, I'm going to do as much computer work as I can. I need to do laundry. I need to put in a grocery order. I want to tidy up. We've got a lot to do today. Let's get started. Every time I watch this movie, I just think about my students because my very first year, my first semester actually, teaching in China, we watched ELF and used it as a listening practice. We studied vocabulary, we practiced listening, and I think I watched it like 12 times in 1 week. It was something crazy like that, and all of the students were so curious about what up yours meant, which me as a northerner, I mean, I grew up saying that all the time. And so I told them what it meant. And for the rest of the year, students would just like see me around campus and just go, hey, up yours. And it became like this inside joke with the first group of students I ever had. Every time I watch this movie, I just think about that. Okay, we have finished everything. All of that paperwork is done and ready to go. The last thing we have to do is just finish out the final exams and plug the final exams in to get the final score. Tomorrow is the Christmas lunch, so I do need to wrap the gift. In fact, wrapping paper in China is not one continuous roll. It's like separate sheets of paper all rolled up together. But I thought this one was kind of fun. Little peppermint vibe. Day honestly was such a good day. If you ask me my favorite time of the semester, this paper is not like wrapping paper, it's like actual paper. If you ask me my favorite time of the semester though, I will absolutely say the end of the semester. Not for the reason you might think, but just because at the end of the semester the students are so much more outgoing, like they've let their guard down even more, they know me even better, and it's just fun by the end of the semester. Always right when it's time to say goodbye, I'm like, well, this is the closest that we've been. My freshmen have really genuinely struggled with having full-on conversations with me, and today I had a very long, very successful conversation with one of them, and I was like, yes, good, we are finally making progress here as we're about to go into final exams. And in another class, the students were talking about how they were really relieved to finish the final exam, to finish our class. Or Mondays, yesterday, they were talking about how relieved they were to finish the class. And I was like, oh, yeah, I understand. You're so happy to say goodbye to me. And then they were all actually laughing about it, because in the past they'd be like, oh, no, that's not what we meant. Like they didn't get that it was a joke. They would just be nervous about insulting me. But we know each other so much better now. I was like, yeah, I understand. You're just so excited to say goodbye to me so you don't have to see me anymore. And it's always fun because at the end of the semester, you get to see a different personality or a different side of students, because the students who you would think would be like really sad to say goodbye, like the ones that would be really sentimental at the end of the semester, are never the ones that you think they would be. It's the ones that have like not been that great at English, or maybe haven't been giving their all in class. They're the ones that are coming up to you like, Megan, I really want to take a picture with you. Oh, I'm so sad to say goodbye. This is so terrible. It's those students, the ones that you were like, do you even like this class? Those are the ones who are always so sweet. One of them even gave me that tiny little hair clip that I showed earlier when we were at the coffee shop. They're just so sweet and so adorable, and they're all so worried about me not being their teacher next semester. They're all like, will you be our teacher next semester? But honestly, I don't know. I usually do teach the sophomores for like 1 full year, but our school is going through a lot of transition right now, and I honestly could not tell you, because in the past students would have me for a whole semester, and they would generally have 3 semesters of listening courses that would start in their sophomore year and go to their junior year. But now they're starting them when they're freshmen and going to later. So there we go. We have the finished product. Package is done. And since we were talking about grading today, I thought I might share my grading process for final exams. So basically what I do is I have a blank template in just a Word document on my computer for me to write up feedback. So every time a student finishes with their exam, I don't give them feedback directly in the class because it just takes too much time. Most of my classes have about 40 students in them. So while they're talking, I'm typing up feedback, and in my blank template, it is divided into 3 different sections. One section is called good, which is pretty self-explanatory. The other section is called improve. There's a third section that's called vocabulary, where I highlight any really excellent vocabulary words that they used, because I'm always pushing my students to try new words, and I want to let them know if they're on the right track. And I'll write some notes next to it as well, like, oh, this is a really native word, or good job using this word correctly, you used it in the right context. I will also write their name and their time as well, so they know if they reached the time limit. So while students are giving their presentation, I have that blank Word document up and I'm just typing away. I also have a notebook and then the sign-up sheets. I allow my students to choose the order that they want. If they want to be number 3, then they can write their name down to number 3. I have both of these open and ready to go. It's on this sign-up sheet where I write my own personal thoughts that I don't want to accidentally send to students, because when I'm writing my feedback, it is for the purpose of helping students improve. So I will write something down and I will explain it a little bit more. I won't just say work on your pronunciation. That's not helpful. I'll write down specific sounds that they have a problem with, and I also won't just say, hey, your TH has a problem. I will say specifically what is the problem. When you said these 2 words, think and although, your TH sounded like an S, so it sounded like sing. That's how specific I get with the feedback, because the goal of the feedback is so students can recorrect and improve for next time. This is for my eyes only. So this is where I'm writing my honest thoughts, where I'm writing down, wow, this was really choppy. Their pronunciation was really not great. I don't want to write things like that in the feedback. I want to write it just for my eyes only, so I have a record of how I felt about the speech during that time. I also jot down how students are doing. I don't do this every year. Last semester, I didn't really find it helpful, but this semester, I've been relying on it a lot. So what I'll do is I will make a rough outline of where the students fell in ranking with each other. So Sherry killed it. So I put her name all the way on this side. The students who are leaning more on this side did a really excellent job. This is one of my best classes, so a lot of the students are leaning more towards this side with the spirals. The students who didn't do as great of a job, they're over here. And so it helps when I'm writing down my notes and I'm saying things like, they had decent vocabulary, but their pronunciation still has a long way to go. I can see, if they're kind of in the middle, then they did a decent job. But if they're kind of this way or this way, then I know to kind of adjust their score to fit that. Also on this piece of paper, I jot down my tentative score. The reason I don't give a full final score is because I know I am so affected by different grading. At the beginning of the day, I'm fine. And I find after I've done 40 plus exams, I'm starting to feel a little bit tired and I might not be giving as high of a score as I should be. So that's why I have all of these notes for myself that I can look back on. And that's why I also have this ranking as well that helps me kind of be a little bit more fair throughout the entire grading process. I also have qualifications that they have to meet as well. And so I'll use different markers and I go back over this. So students are not allowed to just read their presentation. They can use notes, but they have to look up, they have to communicate. They can't just stand there and read like a robot. If a student does that, then I mark it with a yellow. So I know that they did not fulfill one of the main requirements. I'll also go back through with the times as well, and I will highlight it in orange if they didn't reach the time requirement as well. So if I wrote down that she was supposed to get a 90, but she didn't meet the time requirement, then I deduct a certain number of points for that. And that's the entire grading process that I do. It sounds extensive, but I just want to ensure that I'm giving them the most fair grade possible. And also it's different from a just written exam. For a written exam, you can just go through it. Yes, no, true, false, A, B, C, D. But for this, it's a little bit more subjective. And so I find that having, I guess checks and balances really helps as well. I can also go back and open up their feedback. If I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, it says they had good vocabulary, I can actually pull up and I can see like, oh wow, I wrote a chunk of vocabulary words. You really did kill it for vocabulary. And it just helps me give a really good score at the end of the day. I also do try to grade them all by the end of the day. I don't want to push this off until tomorrow, until I can't really remember the scores that well. I can't really remember how well they did in the presentation. I try to do it all that day. So today I was just putting them into the computer system. I have them written down and finalized on my paper. Now they're in the computer system. This was a very productive day. It might not have looked it because it was just a lot of me sitting at a computer and also teaching. I taught 6 hours of class today too, so that was also part of it. But I think I'm gonna leave off the vlog here. I do still need to tidy up. I'm gonna do some laundry, but we're about ready to go, and I am so excited for tomorrow because tomorrow we are going to have our Christmas lunch get together party thing, which will be fun because we don't have that many chances to see each other as foreign teachers. And tomorrow is going to be all about reflecting on 2024 so that I can make plans and make goals for 2025, because next Monday my friend and I are going to sit down and we're going to go over all of our goals for the year. So I need to reflect first on 2024, then I will be ready to set my goals for the new year, which is very exciting. I wanted to make sure I did a lot of work today, that way I could just work on myself tomorrow, private personal stuff rather than full work. But thank you so much for coming with me today, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.